Good afternoon, respected teachers and my dear friends. I am grateful for the president, faculty, and staff of this great institution for giving me the opportunity to speak in the presence of all of you today. I also want to thank the students for coming today. You're really going to enjoy the time we spent together this evening. It is an honor to be here with you today. Every person has dignity and value. One of the ways that we recognize the fundamental worth of every person is by acknowledging and respecting their human rights. Human rights are the basic fundamental rights that we as humans are entitled to. They are a set of rights given to every human being, regardless of their gender, caste, creed, religion, nation, location, or economic status. There are also said to be moral principles that illustrate certain standards of human behavior. Protected by law, these rights are applicable everywhere and at any time. Basic human rights include the right to life, right to a fair trial, right to remedy by a competent tribunal, right to liberty and personal security, right to own property, right to education, right to peaceful assembly and association, right to marriage and family, right to nationality, and freedom to change it. Free rights of opinion and information, right to adequate living, standard, and freedom from interference with privacy, family, home, and correspondence. These human rights are the same for all people everywhere, men and women, young and old, rich and poor, regardless of our background, where we live, what we think or believe. The basic property is what makes human rights universal. Human rights connect us all through a shared set of rights and responsibilities. People's ability to enjoy the human right depends on other people respecting those rights. This means that human rights involve responsibilities and duties towards other people and the community. Individuals have a responsibility to ensure that they exercise these rights with consideration for the rights of others. For example, when someone uses the right to freedom of speech, they should do so without interfering with someone else's right to privacy. Governments have a particular responsibility to ensure that people can enjoy their rights. They must establish and maintain laws and services that enable people to enjoy a life in which their rights are respected and protected. For example, the right to education says that everyone is entitled to good education. Therefore, governments have an obligation to provide good quality education facilities and services to the people. If the government fails to respect or protect their basic human rights, people can call it to account. In recognition of human rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on 10th of December 1948, following a complex drafting process that took nearly 2 years, consisting of a preamble and 30 concise articles totaling less than 1,800 words. The declaration describes itself as a common standard of achievement for all people and all nations. It was designed to be part of a package comprising 3 components: a declaration of manifesto, a treaty or covenant, and provisions for implementation. The other parts followed the declaration later, taking nearly 2 decades for adoption and another 10 years for entry into force. The great impact of the Universal Declaration may not have been immediate. Its significance has grown over the years and continues to grow. The Declaration has been invoked in scores of international treaties, in national constitutions and legislation, and in judicial decisions at both the national and international levels. In 2007, the United Nations Human Rights Council decided that all member states would present periodic reports on their human rights compliance. General to the legal framework of this new and novel procedure, known as the Universal Periodic Review, are the standards set out in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was established in response to the atrocities during the World War II, including the Holocaust. The document outlines the human right that all people are entitled to, such as freedom from torture, freedom of expression, and the right to seek asylum. When those rights aren't protected or blatantly disregarded, they are violated. What are the types of human rights violation? Who is responsible for preventing and addressing them? A state commits human rights violation either directly or indirectly. Violations can either be intentionally performed by the states or come as a result of the state failing to prevent the violation. When a state engages in human rights violations, various actors can be involved, such as police, judges, prosecutors, government officials, and more. The violation can be physically violent in nature, such as police brutality, while rights such as the right to a fair trial can also be violated where no physical violence is involved. The second type of violation, failure by the state to protect, occurs when there is a conflict between individuals or groups within a society. If the state does nothing to intervene and protect vulnerable people and groups, it's participating in the violations. In the United States, the state failed to protect Black Americans when lynching frequently occurred around the country. Since many of those responsible for the lynching were also state actors, like the police, this is an example of both types of violation occurring at the same time. In human treaties, states bear the primary burden of responsibility for protecting and encouraging human rights. When a government ratifies a treaty, they have a threefold obligation. They must respect, protect, and fulfill human rights. In conclusion, human rights are an important part of how people interact with others at all levels in society, in the family, the community, school, workplace, politics, and international relations. Therefore, it is vital that people everywhere strive to understand what human rights are. When people better understand human rights, it is easier for them to promote justice and the well-being of the society. Thank you.